Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here. Want to talk about dreams coming out of the third testament of the Bible, which is the truth that we're supposed to get to go with our spirit here in the third era. That's right, the third testament of the Bible. Some of you guys are familiar with it. Those of you who are not familiar with it, there is a free PDF that you could download online and read it, or there's an audio version on YouTube that you can listen to it. Just look for Third Testament of the Bible. There's also some classes that on our channel that you can get, and this is one of those classes. We're going to talk about dreams and what the scripture says about dreams. All right. So we're going to jump right into it. Just a heads up so you know what you're listening to. Hopefully we're going to find out, I believe we are going to find out in this class where dreams come from, what are they, and the whole thing about dreams. So if you want to know about dreams, I may even share a couple of dreams that I've had over the last 3 days, which kind of prompted me to want to do this Bible study about dreams, but I don't know. They're kind of personal dreams, and I may not share them at all. But we'll leave it up to the Father. First, we ask the Father in heaven. Hallowed be his name. Father Abba, we come to you today asking that you will help us to understand where our dreams come from and give us some insight. Help us to decipher your word on where these dreams come from and what they are. In your son's name we pray, amen. And so be it. All right, so looks like we're up here in, I think this is chapter 17. Starting up here in 118, he says, the spirit which knows how to be watchful will never depart from the route traced for him by his Lord, and he is able to employ his heritage and his gifts until he achieves his elevation. That being shall progress in his trials, for he lives alert and never allows himself to be dominated by the material. He who prays and keeps vigil shall always emerge triumphant from the difficult times and will know how to walk with firm steps on the path of life. Oh, how different is the conduct of he who forgets to pray and keep watch. Voluntarily he renounces defending himself with the best arms I have placed in man, which are faith, love, and the light of wisdom. It is he who does not hear the inner voice that speaks to him through his intuition, his conscience, and his dreams, but the heart and mind do not understand that language and do not give credence to the message that comes from his own spirit. All right, so we learn right here when it comes to dreams, let's see, verse 120 is saying that it is he who does not hear the inner voice that speaks to him through his intuition, his conscience, and his dreams. All right, so the dreams are coming from that inner voice, and what it goes on to say is the heart and mind do not understand that language. And so when we're having dreams, our heart and our minds, which is the opposite of our spirit, don't understand the dreams that we're having, and maybe that's why we discount them and blow them off and say they don't really mean anything. But what we're learning here is that the dreams are divine. They're coming from the Father. They're coming from the Spirit. They're part of that inner voice from which he speaks to us. But let's go on to the next verse to see what it says. All right, looking like we're up here in chapter 23, which is called Inspirations and Revelations of God. I'm going to start on verse 7. It says, I have never been far from you, as you have sometimes thought, and I have never been indifferent to your pains, nor deaf to your calls. What has happened is that you have not concerned yourself with refining your higher senses, hoping to perceive me with the senses of the flesh. I tell you that the time when I conceded that to man is long past. If you have bothered a little to develop some of your spiritual gifts, such as the elevation of your thoughts, prayer, premonition, prophetic dreams, or spiritual vision, I assure you that through any of these you would be communicating with me and thereby receiving answers to your questions and divine inspiration of your thoughts. All right, so look at like these prophetic dreams, part of premonition, prayer, elevation of your thoughts will give you answers, is what I'm reading right here. I assure you that through any of these you would be communicating with me and thereby receiving answers to your questions and divine inspiration. So our dreams have answers in them, is what we're learning right here. But what he's talking about, he says, if you had bothered a little to develop some of your spiritual gifts. So we learned that prophetic dreams are spiritual gifts that are in need of development. I'm not sure how we would develop those, but we're learning. Maybe we can start to pray, and through our dreams, we can start to get the answers to some of those questions right there. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so we're up here in chapter 53, which is the time of judgment has arrived. That's chapter 53. I'm going to start all the way back up here in verse 25. It says, at the injustice of men, the waves of materialism shall rise up like an angry sea, a sea of pains, desperation, and anguish. Only one vessel shall float over the sea of passions, greed, and human hatred. That ship will be my law. Happy will be those who are strong when that time comes. Woe to those who slumber then. Woe to the weak. Woe to the people who have built their faith on foundations of religious fanaticism, for they shall be easy prey for the furious waves. Do you not foresee the battle, humanity? Does not my word not move you to prepare to defend yourselves when the time comes? My light is in all, but only those who pray and prepare can see it. My light speaks through presentiments, through inspirations, intuition, and through dreams and warnings. Yet you are indifferent to all of those signs from the divine. Soon you shall see my word redeemed and give witness that it contains truth. All right, so from what I gather out of this verse is that our Father is speaking to us through dreams. But he says, my light, which we understand light to be understanding, like they say, the enlightened ones, we understand light to be understanding. But he says, my light, talking about the Father here, my light is in all, but only those who pray and prepare can see it. All right, so you have to pray and prepare. And what he's talking about preparing here is getting in accordance with his will. Some of us are ill prepared as we're into materialism and other kind of things that we read about up here in this in previous words of this particular verse. But he says, my light speaks through presentiments, through inspiration, intuition, and through dreams and warnings. All right, so dreams and warnings may be one, because it's kind of look like it's kind of putting it together, or he's using improper English here as he has the word and written too many times. So it looks like it's dreams and warnings. So maybe our dreams are giving us warnings. You guys leave in the comments, help out with this Bible study. Like I said, it is a Bible study. I'm a student just like you guys. I don't have all of the answers. So in the comments, if you would, if you have something to add, please write it down there and we'll chat about it down there. All right, but looks like again we get hit here. This is the Father, or his light or his understanding is speaking through us through dreams and warnings, as well as other means. Right? So in our dreams we can be getting warned, and that's some of the dreams that I've been having here lately. Like I said, they are kind of personal. It wouldn't really apply to everybody, but some of them have warnings in them for me. I'm hearing some warnings out of some of these dreams that I'm having. At least they feel like warnings. But let's go on. All right, looks like we're over here in chapter 61, which is called Exhortations and Warnings from the Lord. This verse is already down here in 33. That's talking about dreams. But starting here in 27, it says, great is your destiny, yet do not be thereby dominated by sad presentiments, but fill yourselves with hope and courage, thinking that the days of bitterness that approach are necessary for the awakening and the purification of men, without which you can never see the triumphal entry of the time of spirituality. Learn to impose yourself over adversities. Do not allow sorrow to take hold of your heart, and be careful of your health. Raise the morale of your brothers by speaking of me and teaching them my doctrine, which ignites faith and hope. Look at the way many men walk with their heads bowed. They are spirits who have allowed themselves to be defeated in the contest. See them prematurely aged and gray, their faces wilted and with a melancholy expression. And if those who should be strong weaken, youth must wither, and childhood will look sadly at their surroundings. You people, do not deprive your hearts of those healthy but fleeting pleasures. You may enjoy them. Eat your humble bread in peace, and I promise you will find it sweeter and more substantial. Deduce from my words that which I want of you in trust, faith, optimism, calm, and steadfastness, and that in spite of your labors and penalties there is no bitterness in your hearts. What sweetness or happiness can you offer to the needy if you had the heart occupied with sorrow, worry, and dissent? It is precisely in your trials that you must give the highest examples of elevation, faith, and humility. He who gives that spirituality to his life will never cease to feel peace, and even his dreams will be peaceful and refreshing, for his spirit will use his sleep to detach itself towards the beyond, to receive those divine emanations from which it is nourished and in which the body also participates. All right, talking about our dreams right here, up here in verse 33. Let me read that part again. He says, he who can give that spirituality to his life will never cease to feel peace, and even his dreams will be peaceful and refreshing. All right, so if our dreams are not peaceful and refreshing, look like there may be something we need to work on here. There may be some other issues that we're having that will cause our dreams to be bad. If we're having what they call them night terrors or nightmares or whatever, there may be some problems there that we need to work on, or maybe we're getting some warnings or something just ain't right there. He says, for his spirit will use his sleep to detach itself towards the beyond. All right, check that out. The spirit, while you're sleeping, look at what your spirit is doing while you're sleeping. It says, for his spirit will use his sleep to detach itself towards the beyond, to receive those divine emanations from which it is nourished and in which the body also participates. So this is what our spirit is doing. This is a lot of what's going on in our dreams, is that our spirit is actually detaching itself and going towards the Father to get nourished. It's going to feeding itself, right? So that's real interesting, all right? And it says that our body also participates, all right? So maybe our body is getting this nourishment in some kind of way. But again, if you have something to add, feel free. Please, please, please put it down there in the comments, all right? I'm trying to keep this short, so I'm going to go on. All right, now we're up here in chapter 62, which is words for the present listeners. I'm going to start on verse 55. It says, if you do not prepare yourselves, rumors will reach your ears that will confuse you, and with them you will confuse your brethren afterwards. I am putting you on the alert so that once these communications are ended, you will not try to practice them again, because it will not be spirits of light that will manifest themselves, but confused beings who will aim to destroy what you earlier already had established. On the other hand, he who knows how to prepare himself, who instead of trying to appear noteworthy can make himself helpful, instead of anticipating events, can wait with patience. He will clearly hear my teaching, which will reach his spirit by means of gifts that exist in him, which are inspiration, intuition, presentiment through prayer, and spiritual visions and prophetic dreams. All right, so this is how the Father talks to us, guys. This is real important stuff here, and that we're getting out of this Bible study. I know I'm learning a lot, and hope you guys are learning something too. But looking at part of verse 57, it says, he will clearly hear my teachings, talking about the Father again, which will reach his spirit by means of the gifts that exist in him. So we're talking about the gifts that exist in us, and these gifts are listed here. They are inspiration, intuition, presentiment through prayer, spiritual vision, and prophetic dreams. All right, so this is how the Father teaches us, is through our prophetic dreams. All right, that's very, very interesting, guys. A little bit excited here. All right, so if you got something out of this, I hope you learned something about dreams. This is not an exhaustive study. There's some more information out there in the world, I'm sure, on dreams. This is just what we have coming out of the Third Testament of the Bible. So if you find any other information you could share, maybe there's something you could share with me and teach me some stuff, please leave it down there in the comments. If you got something out of it, please hit the like button. If you disagree with what we're talking about here, go ahead and hit the dislike button, but leave a comment either way. All right. And with that, I'm going to say pray for us and shalom.